Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism. This video is sponsored by contribution from E. Butterfly, and she's written in a few stories in the past. And she sent in today a audio file, and this is a couple months old. This was in the queue for the holidays, so sorry, I'm just getting to it now. But let's get into it. It's about 40 minutes long. So it's going to be a long one. Get a coffee. It's one of Ollie's long forms. Here we go.
Hi, Ollie. This might be a long audio. I'm going to try to keep it under 40 minutes. I know. I'll try to aim for 30 minutes, but it's a very compelling recap. You're going to find this very interesting. Happy holidays, by the way. I wanted to let you know that this is E. I'm going by E, Butterfly. I'm the one that sent you the video years ago. I was of your episode about the narcissistic queen bee. That might have been on BitChute or Rumble. I don't think it was uploaded to YouTube. But yeah, you did 2 videos called The Narcissistic Queen Bee, and you did like a follow-up with a different story or something. I'm that person, okay? I'm about to be 26 next month. I'm the one with the kid that was homeless in college. Yeah. So a lot has transpired, but I'm also going to kind of go backwards and reflect on some things. I did not listen to that video to remember everything I said, but I think I remember most of the things that I said in that video. I'm going to try to make this make sense because it's kind of like a spider web of information, but I'm going to tie it all in together to get to my conclusion at the end. So recapping on what has happened in the last couple of years is very significant. It'll make sense. Trust me. I discovered who my dad is. I discovered half-siblings. I discovered a half-sibling of my dad. I discovered old friend of my mom. Old friends of my mom or affiliates contacted me because my mom went MIA on everybody that was in her past that she didn't feel like serviced her anymore, which
is what narcissists do when they have no use for you anymore, because everybody in their life is a pawn. And it appears what you've been experiencing since we last spoke 5 years ago is that you figured out who your father is, what's been going on, and now you're beginning to get information on all your mother's queen bee activities and all that dirty laundry that within the black community that's always, shh, don't talk about it, don't air your dirty laundry, okay? And now you're finding out what all that dirty laundry actually is.
she would do habitually. She had been doing it for years. And whenever she would disappear like that, it made people worried. It made people want to find a way to contact her and get a hold of her because they didn't.
Like borderline personality disorder, because that's what the queen bee is. The queen bee always has borderline personality disorder. And that's how your mother's effective way of making herself the center of attention at all times.
Didn't know if she was alive or not. And I don't know how my family was able to not be suspicious of her when it came to this habit of hers. But I literally had foster parents and she went MIA on them after we moved to Virginia. I think she was just really good at lying. So they wouldn't suspect anything because they didn't have contact with the people she had contact with. But
you're just thinking too deeply. It's as simple as these people served your mother no purpose. She had no use for them. Boom, gone. She's not even thinking about them again. Once the narcissist identifies you as somebody who they can get absolutely nothing from, whether it be money, time, supply, once they don't have any of that, they have zero use for you. They don't even think about. They don't even think about it unless that person can become useful to them again. That's just how it is. Everybody in their life is a pawn, and pawns are used and thrown away. That's why they're pawns.
Anyway, again, it's kind of a little bit of a spider web, but I'm going to try to make this as sequential as possible. So I got reached out to in 2020. Like after I sent you the video, I would say a few months later, if it was not 2021, I got reached out to by my mom's old best friend who happened to be a guy. And this guy is like a different kind of person.
Okay. Guy best friend. Okay. Best friend. Okay. Listen, I've been through this and I've said this a million times. Okay. Guys aren't just hanging around best friends with women for years that they're not getting something out of. It's not happening. Not happening. See, the problem with this, Butterfly, is even with the people coming to you, you don't know what their agendas are either. The queen bee poisons everybody. That's why when you're dealing with this, anybody who would be still dealing with these people, they have to go. This is why no contact is essential. It's essential. Because you can't sit there trying to decipher every single person that comes to you with contact, and even though they're acting like they're trying to help you or they're trying to commiserate, like you can't trust it because you don't know what their real agenda is.
He's very like church involved and all about spreading the gospel, living like a saint,
Another flag.
But in a childlike manner. He's what they would call an incel, honestly. Like in our modern era, they would call him that because he never had a girlfriend. He never had kids. He never.
Your mother just uses this guy. Okay, so he's an incel. He's like, he isn't up to the queen bee standard. Okay, but she has some use for him because he's such a doting little worker bee. Oh, God, this is pathetic. Oh, how pathetic.
Like, messed around. Like, he is that kind of person. Like, he just didn't have a desire to. And he had a very childlike personality and always wanted to help people, be giving, and an empath. Like, he's full-blown empath. But it could be also, like, a certain type of personality, like an actual kind of condition he might have that he was never diagnosed with. But
yeah, he's a pussy. He's a pussy with no confidence. That it's as simple as that. That's his problem. It's childlike because he has no confidence, and he survives in this headspace of being abused and used by people. Okay. In a church because, it's for God. Like, and again, this story, I'm sorry, I keep almost using your first name. This story is clicking so many of the one after another red flag box, one after the next. You are in prime narcissist area here. Queen bees, church, best friend, male best friends. I mean, come on. One red flag after the next here.
He's aware of himself at this point. This person contacted me on Facebook. I didn't know who this person was, but I realized that he is the person that several years ago tried to reach my mom by traveling from overseas to see her and connect with her. And she had this episode where she was on the phone and like trying to tell this person to leave her alone, and she's not interested in talking, and we were kids back then, and I don't want anything to do with you anymore, and that was then and this is now, and I have my own life. And it was that kind of conversation, and I could overhear it, and I was like, who is she talking about? And it happened when I was 17. She came up to my room and was like, if you ever meet somebody named Steve, if you ever run into somebody named Steve in the area, don't talk to him.
All right, so it sounds like she banged this guy years ago, and he fell in love with her, and she wanted nothing to do with it because the queen bee is usually a fucking dirty whore as well. Okay, they spread, remember, queen bees love, they live on dick and attention. Dick and attention, dick and attention, dick and attention. And even though she's saying, oh, leave me alone, leave me alone, she's getting off on that shit. And then bringing her kid into it. And then bringing her kid into the dick and attention. There's the queen bee for you.
Because I didn't want no creepy guy, bothering me. But this was actually her closest friend, the one that knew her family, who was, accepted as like part of the family. The one who my mom's mother trusted with her safety. Like they would go out and he was like the chaperone when she was drinking. Like he told me all of this stuff.
Oh my God. Oh, the whole thing is so sick. Butterfly, you gotta realize what happened here. Seems like this guy's a little older. And again, the pattern of abuse in the queen bee and in the black community and these communities, it keeps handing itself down generation after generation after generation. And listen, I'm not absolving your mother of anything. But from what you're telling us, what you're saying here, it's pretty goddamn clear. Your grandmother set up your mother to go get banged by this older guy. Thus, I'm telling you, this is why your mother acts the way she is, because her mother, she's no different than her mother. And this is what these women keep doing to each other. They keep destroying their children. They destroy their daughters. They destroy their sons. They destroy their children. And they destroy everything around them.
Drinking problem in her teen years, yeah, and a smoking problem. Now, these addictive habits she got from her dad. My grandfather, he had a smoking problem. He also was a diabetic. He developed diabetes from bad eating habits. And he was a veteran too. He used to be a mechanic. He died when I was 11 and a half from a heart attack. That scarred the family deeply when that happened. That was like months before we moved to Virginia. So it's gonna all make sense in a minute. Anyway, so I reconnected with, well, not reconnected, but I connected with this guy on Facebook who reached out to me. At first I was hesitant, but he was telling me details that I knew only, like, I knew he was being authentic, basically. And he...
Only somebody who was in around this could know. There's no way this person's lying.
He said he could point me to who my dad is because he knows who the guy is, because it was around the window of conception that they met. He knows that they hooked up. Like, he knew so much information, and I was very eager. I think I need to backtrack before I go into that section about meeting, like figuring out who my dad is, with this person's help, who pretty much was a complete stranger to me at the time. But yeah, so my mom...
Again, her mother won't tell her who her father is. I mean, I think I do remember. I remember the story. Your mother absolutely knows who your father is.
Lived in Austria with her family. They moved from Jamaica to Austria at some point. I don't know what year it was, but I know she went to high school at an IB, International Baccalaureate School. I know what school it was in Austria. And it was kind of like a Huxtable family, you know, like they looked good on the outside, but they had a lot of things going on internally that were toxic. But they kept that squeaky clean image, and they took pride in that. There's a lot of pride behind my family. I have an uncle, I have 2 aunts, and then my mom was in the picture. My grandmother had all of them. Now, she ended up becoming the breadwinner when my granddad became a diabetic and became so like ill that he wasn't really able to take care of himself. He did end up in a nursing home in around like the 2000s, but Yeah, she was the breadwinner. My grandmother ended up working for the UN, so she moved to the States to work for the UN in New York. My aunts and my uncle. Okay, so my aunt was 10 years younger than my mom. So she lived with my grandmother. She was still a kid.
I hope everybody's paying attention here, because even though you're dealing with Queen Bee here, okay, this doesn't seem to be where, your inner city thing. This is my point about narcissism as a whole, as an epidemic. It knows no race, it knows no class, it knows no economic status. Okay? These sociopaths are the same throughout. Okay, you're talking about noble, or can't even say it right now. They're in Austria, working for the UN. Obviously, these people, they're not dumb. Educated, they have means, they can do things. Yet and still, listen to this story. Butterfly does it still at the point, doesn't know who her father is. Even though, she's talking about it started with foster care. So obviously it's some kind of in and out thing. This is very, very, this definitely seems like it's running the social gamut.
My aunt, my other aunt, my older aunt and my mom, they went to college. Actually, no, the older one didn't go to college. She had a kid around the same time my mom had a kid. It was a month after. And she lived with her boyfriend and my cousin in one household. And then my mom became a single mom and moved to Florida. She went to Florida State University.
How do you just become a single mom? Like, nobody just becomes a single mom. I mean, there's something behind all of that,
To study writing. And then my uncle, he didn't go to school, but he came to New York and did the hustling and all that. I don't know, like trying to find work. And then eventually he started a barbershop, and then it failed some years later. Like, he ended up closing it down. But yeah, that was kind of like the dynamic. They all lived in Europe, and then they moved to the States.
How does a barbershop fail? I mean, it's like one of those things, like guys always, it's a tough thing to fail. Like, I'm sure they do, but a barbershop, unless you're really, really bad, you're cutting people's ears off or something.
To have a different life. And I mean, things really weren't that much better here. So they would spend a lot of time reminiscing about the days of Austria, basically living in Austria, missing how much they missed it, how much they missed their dad and things like that. His death did have an impact on the family. That was pretty rough to see them change in certain ways. But anyway, moving back forward to who my dad is. Okay. My dad did not know my family. My dad hooked up with my mom, and he had been cheating on his girlfriend or fiance at the time, who was pregnant. He made several kids. Okay. So he has several kids with his ex-wife now, because now that's his ex-wife. I know all of this through my mom's high school friend, because he gathered all this information over the years. He shared it with me. He shared me the social media accounts of the wife, the dad. I figured out who the daughter's social medias are, and they knew about me. So like when I reached out to him, he said he was okay with doing a DNA test. Both him and his wife said that they would have him do it. He never did it. It's been several years since we had that conversation. And then they had the divorce around pandemic time is when they had that divorce. So all of that transpired within a year. I tried to connect with their daughters on Instagram. One of them I knew clearly ignored me. Like, she came to my page, looked at a few things. I saw the history that she had visited my profile, my Instagram story, and then chose to not respond but I had literally like texted her, hey, I think I'm your sister. And like she ignored me. So I feel like they might have had the conversation with them and decided that they wanted to block me out. And that's fine. Like I made the attempt, but it's whatever. So I've let it go. But what also I forgot to mention when I brought this up with my mom, because I wasn't actually no contact until okay, so I was no contact, then I broke no contact in order to, I'm sorry, I was no contact, I broke no contact to bring this up. I was like, there's this guy that's reaching out to me. He says he knows who my dad is. She said, I don't want anything to deal with it. You're grown. It's up to you. You can.
Like, what did your mother say to you about who your father? Like, how does she explain that she doesn't know who your father is? How does that how does that happen?
Do what you want at this point. Like she literally did not give a damn. And I was shocked by that. I can't believe I broke no contact to do that. But yeah, she didn't seem to care. In the meantime, I made an Ancestry account. I found out that my grandmother and my auntie had an Ancestry account as well. Then I realized, oh yeah, they do. I forgot that they've had it for several years. They mentioned it when I was a teen about, discovering their DNA background and stuff like that. But they didn't talk about the DNA matches that are on there. The people that were in our distant family or on my mom's side, my dad's side, whatever. Not my dad's side. My granddad's side of the family in Jamaica. Like they didn't talk about that. So they're on there too. So all of these people are my matches on there. My grandmother got upset. She literally emailed me to tell me not to talk to the DNA matches that we had on there in Jamaica because one of them contacted her about me because they didn't know that I existed. So
what is the point? Then why did they join? Then why would she have joined Ancestry? Like, then that makes, like, why is she joining Ancestry and then getting upset when the matches start popping? Unless they're trying to just unless she's trying to cover her bases. This is your grandmother, right? The one who made your mother the way she is. This is what keeps happening in the black community. This abuse is allowed to fester. Nobody talks about it. You got I want to call you illegitimate. You got half children all over, and, I guess they are illegitimate because if you're cheating on your wife with this one, with that one, and your mother, I don't know. No. Why would you have any contact with any of this? And the good thing is I know you don't anymore. So, but I'm saying the royal why. Why would anybody want to choose to have contact with any of this nonsense? Well, probably because you want answers about who you are. But I mean, I think that's probably best sought without their help. Why break no contact? She was never going to give you the satisfaction you needed anyway.
Tried to cover up my existence. I think it was the sister of my granddad, something like that. She thought that I was my uncle's daughter. That's how confused she was. And I was like, no. I am his niece, his little sister, his second little sister out of the three had me. And then, like, after clarifying that with her, she understood. But whatever my grandmother said back to her, like, I think she kind of got the picture that there was something wrong with the family dynamic. So she didn't press in further, but she kept it really, like, cordial with me. And, like, I didn't give her too much information, but I told her I live in Ohio now. I'm the one that moved away from Virginia and went to Ohio to go to school and then had to drop out. And yeah, because I wasn't getting any kind of financial support. And I didn't qualify for any more student loans. My mom had told me she doesn't want to take any more loans out and I need to figure it out. So I had to drop out because I literally didn't have the money and I had nowhere to be at that time before I got into a housing program, which is only temporary. So it was the only decision that I could make. And then start working. Anyway, I also discovered this year a half-sister on Ancestry. She just made her account. This girl, I tried to introduce myself and the information that I knew. I tried to share it with her, but I think I kind of bombarded her with too much for her to handle.
Yeah, this is the problem you're going to keep running into, Butterfly. Okay, because as much turmoil as you've gone through in your life, these half siblings have gone probably through similar stuff, similar abuse. Okay, and like as you're coming to them, they're probably their first reaction is, "Here's more competition. Here's more proof of what a piece of garbage my father is." You know, like they don't want to deal with it. They'd rather just be lied to than to have to face the truth. Because unfortunately, you know, for you, you are the walking validation of yourself. You are the living proof of what fucking trash your family is. And your half siblings probably don't want to deal with that. Because if they accept you, then they're going to have to deal with their own versions of the queen bees and whatever nonsense that's going to come down on them. That's why this stuff keeps festering and handing itself down to generation to generation to generation to generation.
Kind of offended because basically, so she lives with her parents, her mom and her dad, right? It said that we are related on our paternal side, but unfortunately, after looking at her Facebook, I realized she doesn't look anything like her dad. She doesn't look anything like him. I don't look anything like him. We both look like the man in Europe who's black, who hooked up with my mom and probably hooked up with her mom, and it was probably a cover-up. Her mom is, I think, Latin, or like she looks more European. She looks mixed or with European features.
Sounds like, or the mothers are doing what they do, lie about who their fathers are, what their situation is, and they don't want to have to deal with the queen bee, to have to control dick and attention. The queen bee survives on dick and attention.
So, and then her dad is the one that helped raise her. He's like a very, very, very dark-skinned man, and his phenotypes do not look at all like hers. Anyway, I'm Caribbean. My mom's Jamaican. So like my Caribbean ancestry, basically. We have Caribbean ancestry. My half sister on Ancestry, she's Caribbean descent as well. My dad, I know he is of Caribbean descent because his mom is from the Bahamas. Now, his mom died a year ago, but I did some digging and I found the obituary and all of that, so I was able to verify her residence was in the Bahamas at the time, before her passing. So I'm like, there's no way that that's your actual dad. But she was so offended and she didn't want to talk about it. So I said, you know, it's okay. I can let it go. So I had to let that go. Anyway, I was happy to discover another half-sister. But what's crazy is just knowing that my dad cheated on his girlfriend, who was pregnant again, with several women and made several kids. And he should know better because, like, he didn't know his dad. And I discovered one of his half-sisters on Ancestry.
The pattern keeps repeating. You see that over and over and over again. It's sad. And it's why the black community, in large part, has a lot of the problems it does.
Linked to our paternal side, yet again. She was adopted. She didn't know her mom or her dad. So my guess is that my dad's dad was getting, you know, women pregnant in the Caribbean and, you know, disappearing on them. It's a generational problem. And the mom didn't know what to do. Or maybe she died while giving birth. Who knows? But I was the first blood relative she ever met. And she's 50 now. So that's crazy in itself. I discovered a half-sister and I discovered another half-sister. One is mine, one is my dad's. He wasn't motivated to do ancestry even after me sharing the information about him possibly having a half-sister on there, which was really, really sad. Both on the paternal side.
Right, because he doesn't know what else it's going to reveal, because he probably has more kids and responsibility. You don't know who's going to come showing up. It's obvious, okay, there's probably half brothers and sisters that you don't know about and you will never know about. You only know about these because these people signed up for Ancestry. What about the ones who never signed up for Ancestry? And I never would have signed up for that anyway, if you look what's going on with 23andMe now. I always said, you're out of your mind, you give your DNA to anybody. Oh boy. You have to assume you got a ton more brothers and sisters. What do you think? They all just joined Ancestry? You got to have tons more out there.
Really, really sad. But anyway, moving on to him. Okay, so he's involved in like entertainment and TV shows and things like that. Like, he's not a celebrity, but he is involved in the entertainment industry. He's done modeling. He's been a dance instructor. That's his main niche, is being a dance instructor, going to big events, being like a host for little shows locally and things like that. He's done that. So he has like this squeaky clean looking image over there, and he's locally known. He has a history with folks. Now, my mom wanted nothing to deal with him. He had the opportunity to meet me 10 years ago when he had expressed interest in meeting me because of my mom's old friend. Like, he discovered him and verified, okay, this is the same guy that met my mom years ago. So when I was about 10, my mom had the opportunity to like allow me to meet him. She chose not to. She said, I don't need him, basically, which is disgusting because she knew
She just didn't want you to find out something, okay? She didn't know what was going to come out. Look, your mother has been sitting on a throne of lies for decades. And the thing that scares the borderline the most, the narcissist the most, is having their lies exposed. To having the consequences of their bullshit come before them. That's why your mother did that.
I long to know that. But anyway, she made that decision for me and hindered my ability to have a relationship with him back then and possibly meet his daughters and things like that. So I'm looking at their social media and I see like this picture perfect family image and the traveling and the event, like, you know what I mean? When you just see them, like they have a little bit of an internet presence. They're on YouTube. It's a lot. It was kind of hard to watch because I imagine, like, what if that was me in that family dynamic? But unfortunately, he was a cheater. So she divorced his ass, as she should. Anyway, so I don't think I have anything else to add about him. I just decided to just not bother them anymore. Like, I don't really want to talk to them. He's pathetic. It could have been a nice testimony, but he ruined it. Oh, what I hate to say is they identify as Christian. The whole family identifies as Christian. So they're lying to themselves. They're lying to God. They're putting on a Christian front.
Yeah, that's what they don't believe in God. They're not Christians. They're placing them to put themselves as God. That's always bullshit. Religion is just another tool. God, Jesus, Christianity, it's just another tool for these people. Always.
For social media. That's what they're doing. So they're putting up a front. My mom put up a little bit of a Christian front, but she doesn't actually have a church. Like, she doesn't go. She doesn't like to go. She did have some grudges with God, I could tell. So, like, that's another story in itself. But my grandmother on my mom's side is, like, a devout churchgoer and stuff.
There you go, devout churchgoer, her mother's mother, and she has problems. Like, are you seeing it? Are you seeing how they hand the baton of abuse from one generation to the next?
She's also very hypocritical. So going to her, because I went back to no contact with my mom after that. I'm like, okay, I don't really have a
So you went to her mother, the source? There's a mistake.
need to talk to you. My grandmother, she would email me once in a while and ask me, like, how am I doing? Am I still taking my daughter to church? Like, she'd keep it really simple, but just wanted to check and see if I was alive, basically. And I was okay with her emailing me. But I never gave her more information than what I was willing, because I knew she was going to tell my mom everything. So I kept it very gray rock. Anyway, after that whole DNA thing, I emailed her and I told her that I was aware of the fact that there was a savings account with both of our names in it, me as a beneficiary, and that basically I had seen like a few $1,000s was in there. The only reason why I know is because before I left my mom to go to college, I took pictures of lots of documentation and things. Like, I was that kind of girl. I was very resourceful, and I collected as much information as I could get because I knew it would be useful in the future. Being very, very smart and premeditative, I managed to do that and not get caught. Anyway, I told her I'm aware of this savings account, and she said, well, it's no longer valid. You would have benefited from it had you graduated. And I'm like, didn't I tell you I was homeless? I didn't have anywhere to go. I had to drop out. Your daughter decided not to support me financially. And that discussion had happened a couple of years ago. And she thought that I was lying. She was like, well, she told me you paid for your housing for all 4 years. I said, that's a lie. She lied to your face. She only paid for freshman year for the dorms and the meal plan. After that, I ended up in the shelter anyway. So instead of her feeling guilty and apologizing, she's like, so now what are you doing to make a living? And I said, I work for a nonprofit. Ironically, my mom worked for a nonprofit basically most of my childhood, usually around academics. She is a part of an academic association, that type of a nonprofit to this day, and makes really good money doing it. So, like, I didn't need a degree to be a part of a nonprofit. And I think that
Why would anybody make good money working for a nonprofit? Thought it was supposed to be like charitable. Again, everything these people do is shady.
it's kind of ironic that I ended up there, but I did a lot of job hopping to get to where I'm at, and I developed the skills that qualified me over a lot of candidates for this position, and it is where I would like to be right now. It's a very good job. Anyway, I'm still getting by the skin of my teeth, like, as far as bills are concerned, and I'm going to get there. I'm going to be very brief about that, but I'm going to get there. So yeah, I blocked my grandmother on Gmail after mentioning that because it made me very upset to know that there was like easily about $4,000 plus in there that could.
Right. And it just shows you where your mother gets it from. It just shows you where your mother gets all her behavior from. Like, this is what I'm telling you. You got to cut it all out. There's no saving any of them.
Be used to fix my car that is broken down right now. My grandmother's retired. She doesn't need the money for anything, really. Like, they're set. My mom makes so much, she brags about it.
Well, if you saw my boomer video from yesterday, I mean, it pretty much lines up. Obviously, they're in the 79% who want to take it all with them and don't want to share anything, and want to watch you suffer. I mean, and they enjoy watching you suffer. They like it. They get off on it. It gives them control and power. Makes them feel good about themselves. I mean, that's boomers.
My auntie, she's in marketing. Like they have money now. They've acquired it. And I have a broken down Acura that I have to wait until tax season to fix. And I'm on the bus line and getting rides from coworkers and stuff. And I don't have custody of my kid right now. So about that, my kid, she lives with her grandmother on her dad's side. And he has narc tendencies too.
Why it's always the grandparent? And again, the kids go to the grandparents. Like, where's his parents? Well, it's her grandparents. Like, he can't take care of her? It's got to go to her?
and so does his mother, unfortunately. It's more manageable. I don't know if I could really say narcissism. I don't know. It might be. It might be borderline. It might be some other kind of personality issue, but it's definitely a personality disorder because she literally ignores me when I call her. She showed up at 10 p.m. on a Sunday, like 10:30 on a Sunday to pick up my daughter on my visitation schedule instead of coming on time at 9:30 like she said, and she was banging so freaking loud so that everybody could hear it. Like she's drama. She's a drama person when she's around me.
Yeah, that's borderline personality disorder. Of course you're going to procreate with somebody who comes from the same type of background. It's a cycle. This is what I'm trying to keep telling you. It's a cycle, and you keep repeating it and repeating it until you finally break it.
And I think it's rooted in jealousy. So I try to avoid her. Anyway, I haven't seen my daughter in like a month because my car is broken and she's not bringing my daughter and picking her up. And like, I don't have the money right now to even do anything with her. It's sad. Like, we're not within walking distance from anything. Like, I have to have my car to do anything with her. That's fun. But it's okay. Like, I'll get it sorted out by the end of January, hopefully before then. But yeah, I'm just going to have to.
I hope it, yeah, because I got this a while ago. I hope it's sorted out by now because family court's not fun and they sure aren't sympathetic. You know, the best thing I could tell you here, Butterfly, is you got to figure out how do you do that without a car, run a bus line, get a new job. They cripple you.
To tough that out. And then her granddad is also in her life on her dad's side. He is divorced from her grandmother, and he's the more compliant grandparent that understands the drama dynamic and is trying to work around it as well. And we kind of navigate it. Like, we're trying to avoid drama at all costs, but just kind of keep, express to my daughter how much like we care about her and her well-being. She's about to be 5 in February, and I know she senses the dysfunction, but we're doing the best that we can, basically, because we know that there's some personality issues going on in their family as well. I hate to say that I ended up breeding with a family that has personality disorders.
You did. But you did.
It. And many siblings she has that I didn't know about. It's a lot, unfortunately, but that's what I'm dealing with. I wish I made better decisions. I hate that history kind of repeats itself. Apart from that, I am very proud of myself that I made the certain decisions that I made to get us as far as we are today. A lot of sacrifices that I've made. And yeah, the only way I'd be able to get her back full time is if I got a job that allowed work-life balance. That's another thing that I didn't mention. I don't have work-life balance as much.
You got to do it. You got to strive. Like, you have to. Because she'll end up resenting you in the end if you don't. If you leave her over there with that lunatic. Your only goal should be getting your daughter back and getting in a position where you can raise her in a non-toxic and healthy environment. That's it. That's your only goal at this point.
Much to be a parent with this job. It demands like weekends and holidays and things in rotation.
Then you got to put your kid before the job. Unless the job is going to pay you. Now, you can't give up the job and not have any money. I get it. But like, the job can't be the priority. The child's got to be the priority. And unfortunately, like, I don't know, like maybe having the job is more important now than seeing how could that, it's a bad position you're in. Like, it's a tough answer because the only answer is you need to make more money and have more time. That's it. But how do you do that with a broken car and people that don't want to help you and want to see you fail? You come here and ask me, I guess, right?
So it's kind of like, again, yeah, I have to kind of be there for the job, unfortunately. I know no matter what, she comes first. So any chance I get, I make the most out of the time that I have with her. And we have some amazing memories. She doesn't know my mom. She's never met her. My mom has no interest in having a relationship with her. I think it's so much.
I'll tell you this. She has no interest now. You get custody of her and you start thriving and succeeding, you'll see how fast that bitch wants in. You see how fast that bitch wants in just to turn her against you. So if you're I'm glad you're no contact, but it better stay that way. Because if you think just because she has no interest in your daughter now, don't think that can't change on a dime. The second she thinks she can get something out of it.
Easier now dealing with everything, being no contact, because I think my mom genuinely knows I have too much on her, too much dirt on her to make her look bad. Like
they don't. She yeah, maybe, but that desire, that it's like an addiction to take over your child and run your life. She'll think she can swamp you, she can gaslight you, she can overtake. Believe me, don't matter what kind of evidence you have. Listen, you heard my evidence. My mother admitting that they're basically stealing a house from me and threatening my wife's and threatening Charlene's life, and she you think that backed them off? Didn't back them off one bit. If your mother backed off right now, it's not because of what you have on her. It's because you are of no use to her.
I have recordings of her. She suspected that I had recorded her at least once, and I literally lied and said, no, I'm not recording you, but I was. So, yeah, she just had a lot.
Yeah, it bothers her, but it will not be the definitive factor to prevent her from coming after you and screwing with your life. It won't. It won't stop. No evidence you have on the narcissist will actually stop them. If they have a hair up their ass enough on it. If they think they can get away, they won't. The only thing that stops them is separating yourself from them. You still expose them, you still embarrass them, you could still embarrass them, but it's not going to stop them.
Lot of notions about me before I even was doing things. She suspected that I was telling my friends about her. I wasn't until I left school. That's when I was telling them everything. She used to say that I acted like a spoiled rotten white girl, and it's my stupid white friends that are telling me.
Right. So you're mixed, and again, there you go. That skin tone in the black community again. Brutality.
Some of the things that I'm thinking or whatever, she didn't believe that I had my own opinions and thoughts. She thought that everything was simply what someone else was telling me, which I found really, really interesting.
Right. That's the same thing that's the same thing my parents did and how many others on this channel. There's no way you could have a thought of your own, an opinion on your own. Who told you that? Who put that in your... No. Somebody told you that. The idea you have a thought of your own, an opinion on your own, that you'd stand up for yourself, is so offensive to them that it can't be possible. The thought that it's even possible is just so offensive, it drives them off the cliff. Can't have it. Won't have it.
That she didn't think I was capable of having my own opinions or disagreeing, because I disagree, thought that I was just...
Well, you're not allowed to disagree either. It's not even... Yeah, you can't have it, and you're not allowed to do it. So it's a double whammy.
Doing it just to be annoying or something, or challenge her. No, this is how I actually feel. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that she would say things racially charged like that, because she dated white guys. She grew up in a majority white...
Of course she did. Of course. She wants a white guy. Of course she does. But she hates herself. Because that's what her mother did to her. Because that's what these black women do to each other. They judge themselves by how dark they are. You think you're better than me? You think you're better than me? Don't beat that bitch. Go beat that white bitch. Oh, you think she's better than you? Think you're cute with that hair? That's how it goes. And these queen bees, they just stir it up. They do it to their daughters and their sons. They emasculate their sons and they steal their daughters' femininity. That's what they do.
And country, for crying out loud, and didn't seem to have a problem with white people then, but anyway.
Not for herself. Not for herself.
Anyway, I forget. There's some other things that I might have wanted to add. Oh, also in 2020, 2021, a old family friend connected with me, and this was somebody that I used to have play dates with. Both of our mothers lived in the same apartment complex when I was a very young kid. And her mom and her had a hard relationship with her siblings because of the drugs and the escorting and things. But like, she actually had a turnaround and became a better person. It was a little bit too late. Like, they were basically grown up by the time their mother got the help that she needed. But they have a relationship. They were sad to find out that I don't. But yeah, these were people that my mom went MIA on as well. Also, a random guy that I didn't know reached out to me again, another person. This person claimed that they used to babysit me when I was a baby. I don't know how. Like, there were so many other people that were involved. Like, I don't know how there was time for him to be involved. But anyway, before, so he...
Your mother left you with a guy to be babysat? Yeah, my mother did that to me once. It didn't turn out too well. Babysat for what reason? Where was your mother going? Going to get other dick and attention?
He's a veteran. This guy was in the military for 20 years. He reached out to me literally like last year. Told me he knew my mom. They like hooked up maybe a couple times.
Of course they did.
He became a friend. So like, he thought that I was his firstborn kid. And my mom told him that I'm not, but he didn't believe her. Anyway, he told me that...
I think your mother told a bunch of guys they were the father. I think your mother was probably getting money from a lot of different guys. That's what it sounds like.
She had disappeared for a year, and he didn't know what was going on. And then when he saw her, she was at the grocery store with friends, and she was pushing me in a stroller. So, like, he thought that it was within the time of conception, that it might have been his kid, but it wasn't. We did the DNA test. He's not my match.
Your mother finds these simp guys. These simp guys that she bangs them and they fall in love with her. These weak-minded simp guys, and your mother reminds them of their mother, which is what they're doing. They're sleeping with versions of their mother, which is like your mother.
But he felt obsessively like he needed to maintain a connection with me. He didn't want me to block him, but I did, because he came off as a little bit...
He didn't want you, he wants your mother. It's not you he wants, he wants your mother.
Creepy. I feel like he was trying to live out the nostalgia of knowing my mom, because it was so many years ago. And what bothers me is he's a dad, he's a husband, and I just felt like this is no longer servicing me or him, and why does he really need me to be involved in talking with him? I mean, I was just kind of suspicious about that whole dynamic, so I decided to leave it alone. And he hasn't bothered me. He hasn't reached out since I went out of my way to block him. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need you in my life. It was just coming off a little strange. So, yeah, I've had like 3 people reach out to me. I reconnected with my foster parents because I had foster parents that took care of me during my first year of life. They took me in when I was 3 days old. Okay, we're at 31 minutes.
Why though?
I was 3 days old. They told me about this on Facebook when I found them on Facebook. My mom never told me this. I went back home after I turned a year old, and, the rest is history. But I also found out from my mom's old high school friend that she wanted to get an abortion. She was trying to get him to help her find a way to get money to get an abortion. It was unsuccessful. He was trying to convince her how wrong that is. She didn't want to talk to him because of it. Yeah, that's partly why she didn't want to be friends with him anymore.
She told him he was the father and she wanted an abortion to get the money. He wouldn't give her the money. That's what happened. That's what happened. Your mother uses these guys. I'm telling you, your mother uses these guys for money. Nobody would give her money for an abortion back then. That's what happened. 25, 26 years ago. So what is this? 2000, year 2000? Yeah. 1999.
Is because she didn't want to have me to begin with. And that's how I always felt growing up. But she was trying to fake it that she loved me. And I'm like, I know you don't. Like, from the way you treat me and the way you look at me, that sometimes you're disgusted with the fact that you are responsible for.
Yeah, she wanted to abort you, but she couldn't get the money. That's it. She wanted to abort you. That's your issue there, right there. She wanted to abort you and she couldn't get the money. If she could have gotten the money, I don't know, what did it cost? A couple $100. If she could have gotten a couple $100, you wouldn't be here right now.
For me. So yeah. Now I know she wanted to get an abortion. She covered up the pregnancy from her family until it was too late to, until she couldn't cover it up anymore. Really, really sad. But yeah. It's crazy how just within a couple of years I learned all of this. And I know my mom knows I know a little too much, but she doesn't know what I know and what I don't know. But she knows that I'm learning shit. She suspects probably, because she's not stupid, that people were probably reaching out to me over the years. So this is partly why it was so much easier to go no contact. And also, when I was a teenager, I told her to her face that she was a narcissist because I wanted her to get upset. I wanted her to break ties with me. I wanted her to not want to talk to me. So I know they say don't tell them. Well, I told her to her face. Yeah, I did that shit. And it worked. She turned off my phone service when I went to school. So I was on campus with no phone service. But I had a phone that I could get service with a different plan. So I eventually did that when I saved up enough money to do that. And I purchased my own phone plan. So you see how that works? Yeah. So moving forward, I'm just striving to basically do what I can to increase my finances. I can't go back to school. I can get certifications for things maybe, but I'm in debt to my college for just sophomore year loans. I'm in debt to that. And I feel like I'm at a point where I have to probably declare bankruptcy or something because I need financial advice. I don't know how I'm going to get it, but basically they're emailing me telling me that I'm going to be filed as negligent on my loans because I haven't made any payments. I can't afford to. I can barely afford my bills. I get by the skin of my teeth to live in a safe area where I don't hear gunshots because I live in Columbus, and crime is very, very common here.
Well, hopefully with these, because it is really unfair that they do this to these kids. I have them take out these thousands of dollars in student loans that you can't write off anymore. You can't write it off. It's unbelievable what these universities get away with and then what they actually teach you. They're looking at seizing their endowments. And if you went, where'd you go? Ohio State. Go look, whatever school you went to, go Google what their endowment is, how much money they're actually sitting on, and then you'll wonder why they're even charging tuition in the first place, because of all their donations and what they make off sports and everything else. Hopefully Trump is going to make all that go away, like the IRS. Tariffs. This might be a good time because I actually did this video with the tariffs rolling out. All that. We might all be getting a lot more wealthier soon. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, a lot of crimes in this area. Some places that I used to live in, I could hear gunshots in the parking lot and stuff. It's not cool. But yeah, I'm kind of stuck here, and there's very limited options of where I could go. So yeah, I've been living from loan to loan basically. And I have private loans I owe to I have the debt to my college, and it's only like 17,000, but for me it's like an arm and a leg, but for others it's like nothing. But yeah, I can't pay it. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but I'm working, I'm busting my butt, I'm doing what I can. And I'm making artwork again. I'm an artist. I paint. I've made some of the best work that I've ever made just recently. And I'm looking into in the future getting a little bit of counseling or therapy in regards to healing from my relationship traumas, because all of this has affected me being able to have a relationship. And I have not had successful relationships because I've picked people that were not beneficial to my life. And I never lasted more than a couple months with them. I would break it off within a couple months when I realized that this person is toxic. They might not have been a narcissist, but they were toxic. And they had their own wounds, their own traumas, and they were projecting it. And they hated themselves or whatever. They hated women. You know, we have this culture right now where a lot of Gen Z guys hate women, and that's a whole other story. But yeah, I've been dealing with that. So I've just...
Well, these guys have been getting told they've been garbage since kindergarten, and they've had it. And, you know, these women go out there, unfortunately, with a lot of fake accusations, you know, Me Too, and unfortunately, a lot of these three-letter movements destroyed Gen Z, and they destroyed dating, and they destroyed men, because the men ain't having it anymore. They got too much. They got too much to lose. Too much to lose. And women do have mostly a lot. That's on women for doing that.
Just step back from that whole dating scene, especially as a single mom. Like it's a challenge in itself.
Yeah, probably, and it's probably you got other things to really worry about than dating right now.
To meet somebody that is safe to be around your kid, like that's in itself another issue, and it's not a priority right now for me. So I've matured greatly in this time frame. I'm so sorry that this recording is so long, but I tried to keep it as concise as possible. Reflecting on how it was growing up, my mother did display her jealousy. She accused me of being jealous many times or being competitive with her. She compared the relationships that I had with others to her and made it about race, made it about whatever she could. And that's part of the reason why.
And that's typical queen bee behavior. That's what they do. Who's competing with who? The queen bee never stops competing. They can't. It'll kill them. The queen bee will die if they have nobody to compete with.
Why she blocked them, because she didn't want them to be close with me, because she wanted to alienate me, and she would tell me, oh, nobody else would care about you like me or your family. Nobody has your back. Nobody cares. And
understand, the queen bee doesn't need to be in contact with you to compete with you, because that's what they do. They have other people block you. They never stop. Don't ever break no contact, ever.
It's a lie. I mean, I just spent Thanksgiving with a coworker, and they welcomed me into the family like it was nothing. Like, that's just who they are, and anybody's welcome in their home, and they're not judgmental. And it's like, I've met such amazing people who blessed me and helped me when I needed it the most. And I think she really hates that I haven't needed to reach out to her for anything, or my grandmother for anything. Like, I've broken pretty much all ties, and I wouldn't dare step foot in the house for the holidays. I'm just not doing that. Also, I have to mention this. It's going to be 40 minutes. I'm sorry, but I don't think I mentioned it in the last video. The thing that became the last straw for me when I went no contact before I broke it regarding my dad, it was because my mom left me alone with a man that she knew in her college days. Now, I knew who this guy was, but she left me.
It's like her mother did to her. They keep setting you up for something really bad to happen, and that's what they want.
like alone with him for a couple days. She went out of town for the holidays
Who does
in my
that?
freshman year.
Who
I
does
came back
that?
from college in order to spend holidays with her because I didn't have anywhere else to go, obviously. My friend drove me down to Virginia from Ohio. This guy pops up an hour after I get home. He's in my room rummaging through my suitcase. My mom is aware of it. She doesn't care. She's not saying anything. He asked me what's going on between me and my mom the next morning when she disappears because she decided to pack up and go early. And I'm locked up in my room. I didn't come out for nothing.
So your mother brought another simp in for the holidays, realized she didn't want to deal with it, and left you with him? This is what your mother... Jesus Christ.
But to grab some food and go to the bathroom. Like, I was so angry that I was alone in the apartment with him and he's just sleeping on the couch and getting all comfortable. He tries to convince me to open my door, tries to offer me money, offer taking me out to lunch, and I'm
So if he's offering you money, you think he's giving your mother money too? This is what your mother does. Oh, man, what a hoe.
like, this is so inappropriate. This is ridiculous. I told him to go away. He is like, forever? And I said, yeah. He storms out of the apartment, slams the door, leaves his shit there, and I'm there through New Year's Day. I hung out with a friend for New Year's Day, and then I went back to Ohio, and that was when I was like, I do not trust my mom ever again.
Yeah,
with
I
my
would say
safety. That was
so.
disgusting. This guy had the nerve to stalk me and find me on LinkedIn some months later, and I
I think you're finding what your grandmother did to your mother as well. Because the abuse keeps handing itself down.
blocked him. And then I texted my mom and I was like, tell him to leave me alone. She sends me a thumbs up as a response. I was just like, wow, really? That's all you got to say? But anyway.
You don't even know where she went or why. Like, what excuse? Like, it's just so many open questions here.
That is the last bit that I wanted to share with you. I think I covered pretty much everything that I've learned and recapped on, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. I'm sorry it couldn't have been 20 minutes, but let me know what you think, and thanks again for what you've done for our little community, helping us heal and discuss this issue of narcissism. I've learned that societal narcissism is being addressed more frequently now. People are more interested in learning about it. Some people are ignorant, obviously, but there's a lot more awareness of toxic people and toxic family going around, and it's made it easier for me to like talk about it, not giving all of my information, but it's been easier for people to accept it and swallow the fact that like, no, I'm not like your everyday regular family. Like, this is why I have this boundary. And people respect that now. They don't challenge me as much as they used to when I was younger. And I've also had to cut people out of my life who didn't respect my boundaries and things. So yeah, let me know what you think. And I look forward to hearing your response.
All right. And that is the end. Butterfly, you got still a lot of unanswered questions that you need to answer here. Your mother she's just disgusting. Disgusting pig looking for dick and attention. And putting you in positions because that's what it sounds like that's what exactly happened to her. Okay, as I said earlier in the video with the other guy, that your grandmother did it to her, and listen, the queen bee is not going to let you have it better than she had it. She wants you to experience the same shit she went through over and over and over again. Whatever you do, you can never break no contact. Because it's all about the competition with her. And understand this above all else. Well, first, get your daughter back at that situation. But understand this above all else. Your mother doesn't need to be in contact with you for her to compete with you. She'll never stop. But that doesn't mean you go and break no contact. That means you stabilize your own life, your own daughter, and then you stay the hell away from all these people, from her and anybody who has anything to do with her. Her, your grandmother, aunties, whatever. Anybody who has anything gone. And you're going to have to accept from your half siblings that they're not willing to accept this either, because who knows how deep their rabbit holes go, because they're all interconnected. It just keeps handing itself down from generation to generation to generation. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and your story. Butterfly, I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype or phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to follow both my channels on Rumble. Follow me on X and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.